fun begins.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Yes.
Welcome back to the
Gronk.
Dork Forces.
Gronk. We're back, bitches. After quite some time, after a few months, but it was quite necessary. Which officially does officially mean both the SAG strike and the AFTRA strike are over. The writers did get what they wanted first, but still remain strong for the rest of the Actors Guild. I don't know if we got to fully see what the new contract, or we were just told that
I have not read the deal personally. I have not read the deal.
But it's great. That means we are now all here. Shout out to everyone who's joining us from France and the UK. Shout out to everyone who's joining us on the East Coast, because it's like close to midnight your time, because apparently daylight savings time still exists. But anyway,
not for everyone, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. But regardless, yes, welcome back. We have so much to talk about, so much to catch up on.
Yeah, we do. First and foremost, let's hear it for SAG-AFTRA and the WGA, right? Let's give them a cheer. And then you got to fix your hair.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
How we doing, everybody? Zach Taft. I dig the 104th Avatar, man.
All the Gronk squadrons in. Yes, hello everyone.
Of a ton.
But yeah, so there's so much for us to talk about what's happened previously. There's so much to talk about for the future. To immediately say a couple things off the bat. I have not yet seen the Marvels movie before anyone in the chat does ask that question.
Same. I also have not seen it yet, so there's not going to be any spoilers flying around here because neither of us have.
Yeah.
Even seen the thing yet.
Marvel-wise, we're both pretty catch up on everything else. That season 2 Loki finale, my God!
Good. So you finally watched it.
The fact that it took 10 years of our time, of cinematic time, I suppose, 10 years for Loki to have a
spoiler alert. If you haven't finished Loki, we're about to talk about it.
Destroy it. But anyway, not necessarily, but I will say that this dude was given the best Fire Lord Zuko level redemption story that I think I've seen given to any character in quite some time, and he definitely deserved it. The entire show did very much read like a mini season of Doctor Who, so it definitely was like Marvel meets Doctor Who, which I really didn't have a problem with.
I haven't seen pretty much any Doctor Who, so that analogy is lost on me. But I will say that season 2 of Loki felt a whole lot like what I imagined Doctor Who must feel like. So we kind of lined up on that one, even though I've never seen.
With the use of butterfly effects, And the idea of the time slipping and everything, it's just been, the whole storytelling and the connectiveness of it was just absolutely fantastic. But in the meantime, also, we've both gone on our individual horror movie / scary show, marathons. I guess marathon would be the exposure therapies would also be the best way to describe it. But it's been quite a great adventure. But yeah, so there's that stuff, and then we've been given a couple of new Marvel teasers that we'll probably talk about here in a moment. But yeah, where would you like to start off, best friend? It's been a while. I haven't seen you.
I know. I've missed you, man. I've missed you. I'm glad that we finally get to hang out every week and just like nerd out and talk about Star Wars again, like it's always been meant to be. Put some celebratory spotchkas out. Looking forward to more Dork Forces and reactions. Cheers, my droids. Gonk gonk to you, sir. Absolutely. And shout out to Michael Bean, yes, who just became a grandfather today. Some happy news. Yeah, my appreciation for him has grown because I finally reacted to Aliens. That's one thing that I've been doing since the last time we met for this podcast is I've started reacting to a ton of horror films. I started doing it for Halloween, but I decided, it hasn't ended for me. I'm just going to keep going.
There's just so much goodness that comes out of the horror genre.
So many awesome films, and most of them have like passed me by for some reason, for whatever reason. And it's really, really nice finally getting to watch them.
Between the special effects, practical effects, and just overall storytelling, like there's so many different genres and subgenres within the horror community.
Yes.
And if you've ever seen like Monster Palooza or have gone to any sort of like horror convention, like they're hilariously like the most genuine, sweetest people you've ever met. Also,
for sure. And they're just into the goriest, craziest stuff.
Yeah. And yet, like, they're the most sweet, kind-hearted people of like, oh yeah, no, let's hold my chainsaw while I pick some flowers for you.
The thing that I'm really enjoying about it, especially because I'm watching a lot of the ones from the 70s and 80s, like some real classics, and it's like, yeah, they're scary, but like because of the time period, they're all relying on practical effects, and then they're phenomenal. Like there's so much like stop motion and just like things that you wouldn't even think to use in this day and age of CGI, but like it's so much more creative the way that they pulled it off. And there's the cinematography itself is like there's some really artful, like really cool art house shots in horror films, and you don't necessarily expect that, You go there for like the scares and the this and that, but like no, they're pretty solid works of film, man. I'm really appreciating them on multiple levels, and I didn't realize I was going to do that. I thought I'd just be like getting scared, but I'm being very impressed.
Yeah, because like there's different things that make you think about things. There's Eli Roth, of whom I'm not particular on his type of horror, just because it's a lot of just human on human, sort of like the worst of humanity type of violence, sort of a deal.
I have been enjoying his Haunted Mansion stuff that he co-produced with Zach Bagans, though. I've been watching those recently, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good. But normally, yeah, that's totally his.
Or like the whole Saw genre. When it comes to like just like or Purge, like I can't follow the Purge sort of
the inherent darkness of humanity.
Right? Well, it's just like, man, if I'm already pissed off at humans, I don't need to watch a horror movie to like make me even more upset towards humans. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But
there's enough darkness already out there. Yeah. I'd rather get scared of a monster than my neighbor.
Right, but then speaking of darkness, you have the demonic exorcism genre of horror, and something that I watched during the strike was the Pope's Exorcist, and like
that's on Netflix, right?
Bro, I really was not expecting Russell Crowe, out of all people, to like be able to pull off a relatively good priestly, like representative of the Vatican, who's like their chief exorcist or whatever. And like, yeah, he did surprisingly a good job. And like, even the movie itself, like the demonic aspects of it were like really kind of well done.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's been a lot.
Not checked it out yet, but I keep seeing the thumbnail.
Yeah. Or another one was Talk to Me, which was essentially a more rated R.
That I'm going to react to. That
good.
One is on my list.
Talk to Me was good. Yes. You totally.
That is the plan. I am going to do Alien versus Predator. But first, and it's kind of a shameful admission, I have to react to all the Predator movies because I haven't seen any of them. So,
I mean, the first two are pretty.
Got a long road to get there, but that's the plan.
Right. That starts to become more of like the action-y, like it's still creature feature, but it's definitely more on like the action run side of things. Like you definitely see like the Predator do a lot of really cool disfigurements of like the people that he captures and that he like hunts.
That's cool.
Down.
I don't know anything about it, and I want to go into it as blind
scary.
as I possibly can. So
yeah, it's not. It doesn't have.
I'll get to Alien versus Predator eventually.
Yeah, it's really cool though. The idea and the fact that there's underground alien ruins underneath Antarctica, like it's not a foreign concept. H.P. Lovecraft touched on it. The thing.
Is that something that I should have learned in the movie, or is that something?
No, it's something that they'll touch on. It's purely something like within its own.
Let's change the subject because I don't want to get spoiled on the Predator stuff. I want to have some nice blind reactions.
Yes.
We actually got some brand new news today. There was a Vanity Fair article, I believe, got published about Dave Filoni and his plans for Lucasfilm, and apparently he has ascended to a new position in the company.
Yeah, I was trying to hit that comment, but I couldn't quite highlight it. But yeah, he's
creative officer. Henry Lewis was just talking about it. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Yeah. So what does this news mean exactly? Chief Creative Officer. I did some Googling, and as far as I could see, no one held the position of Chief Creative Officer before this. So I think it's a new thing that's been created, and it just implies that he's going to have a higher level of like involvement earlier in the process.
So that's kind of like what I was thinking. If anything, he is just going to become a little bit more of a middle ground between Doug Chiang and a lot of other creative designers and writers, which I think is still going to be fantastic. Like, of course, there's going to be all the haters still who just like love to complain about fucking anything, about how, he doesn't need to have this much input on other projects. And it's like, shut the fuck up, man. Filoni has been there.
Well, I mean, that's part of it. Complaining is part of fandom. You can't completely nullify those voices, but you also can easily disregard them because they're always going to complain. So it's like, just let it roll off.
But because of everything that he's been able to, I'm trying to think of the right word to use. He uses the Force. I think just like overall, I think he has an overall really good sense of who has good conceptual ideas of the lore and of the story, and he's able to really look at people's ideas and concepts and recognize what fits along with the overall canon. So like that's why I kind of think he's going to be closer to Doug Chiang, because he's also been such an integral student to George Lucas that
he was the protege. Absolutely.
Exactly. So if anything, like if worst case scenario, if someone did need to send an email to Lucas, I'm sure Doug Chiang could easily just send a fucking email to George Lucas. I think like Doug Chiang he's probably on the lore side and like the overall franchise, just overall look and conceptual idea for Star Wars. Whereas now Filoni is going to be like, all right, what in these what if stories are we going to probably emphasize on? What are these other show ideas that we're going to try to emphasize on? So if anything, I think he's just going to become a much greater filtration system, but also
that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, because he's going to be kind of making sure that the continuity is maintained.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why there's mixed reactions to this is because Filoni himself is guilty of stepping on the canon with his writing. Like there are several things that have been retconned by his animated storytelling in comics and in novels. I'm talking about Ahsoka, talking about Kanan the Last Padawan. But at the same time, like, that sort of stuff's not supposed to happen. That's why we have the story group, is to make sure that the story is cohesive and non-contradictory. Because if ever there was a criticism to be leveled against Legends, the expanded universe, it's how goddamn contradictory it is. There's so many things that don't line up with each other. And that's kind of what I was so excited when we finally got a Lucasfilm story group, is because, okay, cool, we're going to have this awesome, consistent narrative that gets cross-referenced all over the place. Like, that really does it for me. And then you have things like this happen where, like, now Kanan the Last Padawan has been retconned by the beginning of Bad Batch, or like the Ahsoka novel being retconned by Tales of the Jedi. And so that kind of makes me nervous. But at the same time, as long as everything is going through one sieve, what this means is that future novels and media won't get retconned because it's going to be going through him in the creation process in the first place, Which I think it's valid to feel on either side of that one. Honestly.
This is true. This is true. I think there's also like one or two interviews that there's recordings of Filoni even saying that, like, you know, prior conversations that him and Lucas have had, or George Lucas have had, is that, you know, anything on paper isn't necessarily as canon as anything that's seen on screen, regardless.
There's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy.
Yeah, there is a hierarchy. Yeah. Which also is one of my biggest complaints about the Twitter trolls about Ahsoka and how.
What do you mean?
What was the most hilarious complaint I saw was that watching Ahsoka, you needed too much prior information, or like it relied too heavily on storylines from other shows. And it's like, who the fuck do you think she is? Like, where do you think Ahsoka Tano came from? Like,
why'd they give this random lady who was in one episode of The Mandalorian her own show?
And even so, they gave you enough prior episodes and enough flashbacks for you to gain enough like character background. And even so, of like watching the show, you can still take this as introductions to these new characters, because these are still characters like Hera's son, whose name I can't fucking think of right now.
Jason Syndulla.
Like he's still a new character to all of us, from anyone who watched Rebels. He's still new. Like Chopper,
we knew him for 30 seconds. Yeah.
All of it is still new. Like, are these characters based off other shows? Yes, but that's how you build a system. Like, that's how you build a world. But if your complaint is that you didn't get enough prior exposure to this character, then that's completely on you.
Completely agree.
Yeah. Or also,
I mean, so I'm glad you brought up Jason, actually, because before you see him on screen, like, I could not visualize that animated character being brought into live action and not looking just ridiculous. And they pulled it off. He just looks like a kid with green hair. And my brain, just for whatever reason, could not materialize that until I saw an actor actually doing the thing. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, I can accept that that's the son of a Twi'lek. Sure, you know. But overall, I would say that Ahsoka was I had a fantastic time watching.
It was everything.
Positive experience.
Yes.
I think it was a good show. You know, I think that it's there are criticisms that can be leveled against the show, and I think that's fine. I think one thing is that because of what you were saying, it felt kind of bloated in areas because it was loaded with exposition to make sure casual audiences know who Ahsoka is. But I don't see any way around that.
Nope.
You know, I can't think of any other way that they could have presented that information to the audience that wouldn't have felt weirdly paced or like kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think they did the best way that they could realistically have been expected to do it. So even though like some moments I was like, huh, okay, that was a little clunky, it didn't take away from my overall experience of just like having a great time. You know, it was fun, not perfect, but a good time. Exactly, Amy. That's a perfect way to sum it up. And I mean, live action space whales. Goddamn Ezra Bridger.
The whales were so eldritchly horror, like they were horrific and beautiful all at the same time.
At the same time.
Like it wasn't as scary as seeing the giant monster from Mando season 2, the Mythosaur.
Oh, the Great Dragon.
It wasn't as terrifying as seeing the Mythosaur, but like conceptually though, seeing like how much detail and graphic design those artists, oh my god, they knocked it out of the park. The visual designers for Ahsoka, like fucking hats off to all of you. Hats off to the entire art department and art team for Ahsoka. Like, holy shit.
Seriously.
The World Between Worlds was beautiful. The costume design, the character design was like fantastic. Again, like even my worries with Hera Syndulla's Leku and like being able to see certain designs or like what her eyes would look like, etc. It was the same like worries I had about Grand Inquisitor for Kenobi. And it was like we got all these teaser pictures, which made people worried, and then we got to see the final product, and we were like, "Holy shit, fantastic!"
I've learned to never trust those pictures, like, man, because of what happened with Kenobi. Because of what happened.
Yeah, even Grand Inquisitor was like fucking fantastic. And now that I'm like looking at his mini for Star Wars Shatterpoint, and I'm like kind of putting it together,
nice.
I'm remembering that, like, because a lot of people when Shatterpoint or when the Inquisitor was announced for Shatterpoint, a lot of people were like, "Oh, why does he have a cape?" Or when Kenobi came out, everyone's like, "Oh, why does he have a cape? He didn't have a cape in Rebels." And like, I was thinking about that more, and I was like, okay, well, when Kenobi came out versus when we see Grand Inquisitor in Rebels, like Rebels was kind of like the heights of the Inquisitors in their like hunting spree, right? And also it was post Kenobi, of which Grand Inquisitor got stabbed. All the bullshit with Reva happened. They lost a couple of Inquisitors in the process. So I'm sure they had to like go through like a good shave of like, okay, we need to get our shit together. We were cautious and like really cocky for a second, but now we need to like ring it in for a moment because like Reva fucked our whole shit up. So
yeah, he had to button it down a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I don't think
he removed the cape and he's like, you know what? I only have one more kidney. I only have one more stomach. I can't fuck around. I'm taking the cape off.
It's just a weird criticism, man. It's like, why is this person's costume different years apart from these 2 points in the timeline?
Character development, god damn it. The answer is character development.
Well, it's like, what do you want from me? Not everyone's a cartoon, like, you know, which is an ironic pun, but like, he has more than one outfit. Like, you know, presumably everyone has at least one change of clothes. If you're looking at a 10-year period of time, right?
Except for Mandalorians who only like seem to wear the same jumpsuits over and over, like Michael Myers. But
even then, I bet you he's got like a serial killer ass closet just full of the same jumpsuit.
Different shades of blue. Oh, 100%.
Just on hangers.
Oh, you know, for sure, Bo-Katan has like her royal blue, her dark blue, her navy blue, her nighttime mission bluish purple, and her indigo. You know, like
it's real sad too because that lovely castle that she had, and she had the nice little blue droid. He would organize her jumpsuits into a lovely little blue gradient, you know, from light to dark. And now that he's been blown to smithereens and she's got to do it herself, this just looks like a terrible, like rainbow ass mess. She just doesn't have the touch. That's canon, by the way.
Yeah, good shit.
Is that you? Did you just squeak?
I don't know what you're talking about. It must have been a ghost. Okay. Must have been a ghost. Billy must have been touched by a ghost.
I think Bendu just squeaked. Everybody.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. No. In summary, I would say that my Ahsoka watching experience basically looked like.
It was so fucking good. It was so.
Coincidentally, it's also the way that I looked during
Clone Wars. We had Clone Wars flashbacks. We had Siege of Mandalore flashbacks. Siege of
Mandalore, yes.
We got to see the only thing we were missing. The only thing that missing was Zeb. Zeb was the only part.
Ara Zebarelios, man. I was just about to mention that. He was the one thing that we didn't have.
He'll show up later. But bro, shout out to Balon though, dude. Like drinks poured, like candles lit. That fucking character, him and Jin Haiti, like even the Force Ghost Merrick, or not Force Ghost, but like he was a Dathomiri ghost cloud put into armor. Like
I thought his final scene on camera was very moving. I thought it was a nice, very open-ended way to like write his character off. Potentially they recast him, potentially they do something with him in the future. We don't know, but for now, I feel like they left it hanging in like a good place, in a respectful place, where you can really kind of like imagine your own ending for the character now. And it's an absolute tragedy that Ray Stevenson, most of all, isn't here to hear how like well received and just universally beloved and praised his character is. This new addition to the Star Wars universe, and it instantly feels like it's been there forever. And he just commanded this amazing presence.
Yeah, there was episodes. There was many episodes that both you and I, mostly you, had stated that like any moment or any scene that Balon had, like there was never a line that didn't hold the presence that it needed to at that minute. Like he never said something that seemed useless. Or
he had you hanging off of every single word.
Like you could write a fucking metal song with all of his dialogue. Like it was just I remember what it used to be. Or like
he was a fascinating character, and I really hope that we see more of him. I feel like I don't know,
Jedi, bro. Give it to us, Tales of the Jedi, season 3.
That's what I was going to say. Is I don't know what the appropriate solution is for live action. I mean, I'm not opposed to recasting the character, but I think that animation is like a perfect place to expand on, because I want to know more about him before that point. You know, I'm very interested in what he goes on to do in Peridia, but like I gotta know Balin's path.
How he finds Finn, how they created
Orange. How did this happen to him?
Yeah.
And there's something else pretty sad that we should mention as well, because it happened in the last 118 days during the strike, so we weren't able to acknowledge it on the podcast at the time. Is that Shauna Turpish, who was the costume designer for Ahsoka and Mando and Book of Boba Fett, also sadly passed away. She worked on so many really iconic productions, actually, like all the way back to like Firefly, talking Power Rangers. Like she was absolutely legendary, and I did not know her personally, but I think that her work speaks for itself in that she has she created some absolutely brilliant iconic character designs. Yeah. She's why Din Djarin is covered in chrome head to toe. She's why Madame Garsa Fwip looked absolutely amazing.
Fantastic.
And that's an absolutely tragic loss as well. And I think that her presence in the creation process for the iconic characters in the Mandoverse, it's going to be felt. That absence is going to be felt moving forward. And I'm sure that whoever takes over the job of costume designer is going to create some really cool concepts, but there's going to feel like there's something missing there. And so I think that's also really sad. May she rest in peace. I went onto her IMDb recently. Like I knew her from several different shows, but the list was so long. I had no idea just how many of like shows that I knew and like really remember at the time being like, wow, these designs are awesome, or like his outfit is rad. Like those were all her. Those were all Shauna. Yeah, no, absolute loss. Very sad about that. Ahsoka, I think, was a pretty good accomplishing note to end a career on, also for her and for Ray Stevenson. Like critically acclaimed, excellent performances, and like even though that there are criticisms that you can make about the show, there's also a lot of things that are just undeniably massively executed and just so well and like just so well crafted, in so many different ways. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be some big shoes to fill. Yes, definitely. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Shauna is the second person to pass away involved in a production that is so recently came out. I feel like that doesn't happen very often. Like there's
been a lot. I mean, that's true. But I mean, if we were to break it down medically, I mean, stress for a lot of people does go a long way. And the fact that Ahsoka came out, well, I mean, the show itself came out during the strike, but that the production of it was getting finished while things were really heated up, things were really starting to get swirled around, and things were right about to drop. So it's like everyone's kind of collective sort of stress was really put into those recent projects. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was just a lot on people's nervous systems and cardiovascular systems that prior illnesses or other things may have like came up or become more of an issue.
Yeah, I don't think that a cause was officially announced, and I'd rather not speculate on that. I think that whatever ended up happening, it was a tragedy, and I think that when you work on such high level productions, you surround yourself with people that are at the absolute heights of their careers, and sometimes that means decades and decades of experience, and so sometimes it's older folks that are working on these things too, and so like it is very sadly a thing that happens, and when these skills, like it just underscores why it's so important for masterful skill sets like this to get passed on to a new generation of professionals, so that you don't have one person who's an absolute master at their craft having to do everything until their old age, and then like someone needs to be able to step in,
But part of it also, they need to be validated, right? So a lot of which kind of goes back down to the strike of people not being paid for or not being adequately valued for what they contributed and what they did. But on a happier note, or on a side note of going back to Ahsoka, Woodsy, I see your comment of I'm surprised Bendu isn't going mental about the mothers. Did you see our reaction? Like, I as a ringtone. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, if there is a way Like if I had a real laptop or like was able to go back in time to my younger self and figure out how to make a ringtone of the Dathomiri resurrection chant, like, bro.
Massive props, by the way. Massive props.
Dude.
Bendu not only called exactly what was about to happen in that scene with the troopers, but he knew it because he recognized the words that were in
There was
chant.
such a specific sound. Like
he knew the damn chant.
But the fact, but like the detail, the fact that later on in that episode, though, it was interesting. The more times, I think I saw somebody else pointed out it during our reaction too, that the more times the zombie troopers died, the more of they became, I don't know, like they became less cumbersome and then became more vicious, like the zombies that we saw in Dathomir. Like the more times they kept getting killed, because the more that like their helmets were starting to break, and we got to see like the fucking inside jaws of some of those people. Like they wanted to eat those people.
It's like every time the body gets damaged, it kickstarts the resurrection spell and kind of intensifies it a little bit more. So you're a little bit more lively the second time you get killed. You know?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to quantify how the magic works.
The whole scene, the entire time of like the zombies going up the ruined staircase, I just kept having like Game of Thrones flashbacks in my head of like either the battle of Winterfell, when like, you know, all the whites are going up the thing, or in the final episode where it's the hounds in the mountain fight and they're doing it in the staircase. I'm like, bro, that part
was sick. That part was sick.
So it was so fucking cool. The whole
I think if I was to give just a quick breakdown of favorite moments, I think Ahsoka's cartwheel on top of the spaceship.
That was so cartoon.
That was so Clone Wars. That was so fucking Clone Wars, dude. It was so good. Dude. That's definitely up there.
Her goofy suit, yes.
Getting swallowed by the whale. That was just some biblical shit. That was just some straight Star Wars mythology happening in front of our eyes.
It's technically not being swallowed if you're just sitting on the tongue like a Tums, right?
Sure, being given the ride. Given
the ride, yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely fantastic. And also, I think it was someone on Twitter pointed it out to me for the first time. Ezra, the actor playing Ezra, looks just like Ezra's father as depicted in the animation in Rebels, like with the beard, with the hair, and like it's spooky, man. It's there's something moving about it. I don't know. It's crazy because we're talking about a cartoon here, but like there's so much emotion wrapped up in like my relationship with that show that seeing him like in live action, standing there, like, and in my head, I'm like, that looks like Ezra's dad. Like he grew up and looked just like his dad, and like it's like working me up a little bit right now. Like it's powerful, you know. Also, shout out to Ezra. Shout out to Ezra using a level 9 force spell of like being able to like pause and deflect lightsaber attacks. Monk style. God, like the only time we've ever saw that was like in the trailers, commercials for Old Republic, or like we got to see Yoda just straight up take the lightning to the palm and then like nullify it. Like, so sick. But bro, being able to just see him just like pause all of those lightsaber strikes, just like yes. People were a little upset that he wasn't just like fighting with a lightsaber straight away, like when he didn't take the saber back from Sabine. Like, but I get it though, you know. Like I think
he's giving it to her. Okay, I thought that was really cool.
Jedi and how a Jedi needs to operate, and if anyone's going to challenge that structure and those preconceived notions, it's Ezra Bridger. Yeah, of also his entire philosophy of like, oh, I don't need it. Oh, I don't need it. I gave it to you. It's fine. I don't fucking need it. Yeah, and then he goes later on. He goes later on, reconnects with Hugh Yang, and then essentially recreates and rebuilds Kanan's saber as like his tribute to his master, which is also super dope. Also very Jedi. Also very on point. Like I love seeing the saber hilt in live action. That's the closest we're getting to a live action Kanan, and you know what? I'll take it. You can buy that at Jonathan's Edge soon now. Like, yeah, dude. Like, it's just there were a lot of really cool decisions and really good things that were made. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited if we do get a season 2 whenever we get a season 2, because yeah, it's again going back to validating people for their work and really
I'm gonna get on my soapbox again, like because during the strike, so we got really great content. We got Loki, we got Ahsoka, we got blah blah blah. We got the Marvels, we got a bunch of other stuff that's like escaping me at the moment. But like, and then there was
that, speaking of Loki, just for a split second, it kills me that the reason the time stone is green is because it was him the whole time.
I see. Okay, I don't know. I think that might just be a coincidence because the time stone, because Thanos destroyed the time stone.
A coincidence?
And all of that happened. All of that happens like post.
There is no post. There's no before or after. He is time.
I don't know if he is the embodiment of time.
Well, he's not, but where he is, what he's doing is happening both before and after and simultaneous to everything else we've seen in the Marvel universe. That's the whole point of it. He's outside. So it didn't happen before, like after anything, but it also didn't happen before anything. It's like Loki is holding him. Like, no, wait, he doesn't hold the green stone. He holds the blue stone in Avengers, doesn't he?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. I was about to be like, he's holding himself. But
no,
that'd be too ridiculous. No, he's not. No, but that's definitely the time stone. It's Strange who has the time stone, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's got Loki in there. He's got a little Loki in there.
He has the fracture of the universe in there. But yeah, so like, but like Disney got in trouble for coming out with like some little, I don't know, at-home movie and trying to use AI to create artificial people.
Oh, yes, it was rough, man. I saw that.
And then with Wish, this new weird, really horrible looking animated movie that is supposed to be coming out in the next couple months. A lot of people are saying that, you know, the sound is off, the songs are off, the background animation doesn't match the animation to the main characters in the foreground.
And the implication is that they used AI.
Well, my idea probably for Wish is it's probably a combination of using AI and then a combination of using scab artists. Because when you try to put out, no matter what type of media it is, if you try to put out new media whilst a majority of your good writers and good artists are on strike, like,
I see what you're saying.
If you try to just bullshit your way out of it, you're gonna get called out for having a bullshit product. You know?
Sure.
Like, if anything, this proves what.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
Or not altogether unsurprising, but it is disappointing though. Man, this is why we can't have nice things. I know that there's some troubling language in the deal that kind of implies that guild members are going to have to kind of take it on faith, that studios are going to act responsibly with AI. Like, the language isn't super airtight to where everything is protected. And again, I haven't read it myself, so I don't know the nuance yet. But that is what people are taking issue with that I've seen so far. And isn't that kind of what got us into this place in the first place? Like, can't trust the studios to not screw people over. And now one of the results of the deals, we got us kind of just like give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not going to screw everybody again. I'm not sure I understand the sense in that, but I mean, it was ratified by the guild. It was voted on and passed. So here we are, you know. But yeah, the AI thing is an absolute issue that needs to be addressed. And like, I don't know what Disney Plus movie it was, but I saw the clip of
like the clip, right? Of like the kids
sitting on the bleachers at like a basketball game or whatever, and just like
complete uncanny valley.
Yeah, like PlayStation 2 Def Jam Fight for New York, like crowd behind your fight. That's what it looked like. And those are totally like extras, background extras who got scanned either without knowledge or consent or compensation. They're not getting paid for that appearance, even though that's their digital face, you know.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm hearing, which is a little bit disappointing. But you know, I guess I don't know. I'm going to read it for myself. I'm going to read for myself and see exactly just how raw the deal might be.
Woodsy, I don't know what you're talking about. He's normal. He is fine. Gengar always has red eyeballs. What are you talking about? It's because he's souls. You see that? He's looking into you. He's like, yes, Dream Eater, bitch. Like,
I don't think I have anything Gengar wants to see.
He's my good time boy. He's my sweet cheese.
Your rotten soldier.
My rotten soldier. But yeah, so going back to a happier note, going back to the horror note. While we still have some time here, because like, yeah,
sure,
your movie settings. Did you finish House of Usher? I don't remember.
I did. Yes, another fantastic show that came out recently.
And
Yeah.
shout out to Mike Flanagan, bro. Like, yeah, this man making me cry over the deaths of people and making me weep over these sad stories and shit. And then and Usher happens where you're like, I don't feel sympathy for any of you motherfuckers. Like every single one of you is a horrible person.
It was a series of like just Schadenfreude filled, just like satisfying deaths. And then you're at the very end, you're like, I'm a bad person, huh?
Not necessarily though, because you're just like at that point.
It was great.
Yeah, because like at that point, you're just like, man, this is a huge metaphor for Oxycontin.
No specific spoilers. But I will say, watch it as fast as you can because it's fantastic. Yeah. And set aside some time because you're probably not going to be able to stop watching it, and it's going to eat up like 6 hours.
It was too. What's really cool too is that the level of like all the Edgar Allan Poe metaphors and analogies and like everything was an homage and a tribute to Poe versus like Midnight Mass or Haunting of Bly Manor or Haunting of Hill House, where they were all their own individual stories.
Sure.
Or what was the movie that he made with the really sad kid whose mom died of cancer?
Finding Neverland?
No, it's but it was like When I Until I Wake or something like that. But
I didn't see it. That's right. I heard about it. I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, he has this way of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make these really scary, creepy movies, and I'm gonna make you cry like a bitch at the end. It's just like, I have a heart. But yeah, that was good shit.
I don't think I haven't been immune to a single one of his. He gets me. I think Haunting of Bly Manor got me the most.
That's so sad.
That one was really sad. That one got me the most. Hyped for Rebel Moon? I am pretty hyped for Rebel Moon. I'm always excited for an original sci-fi story. Like, and you know what? We've actually gotten quite a little bit of original sci-fi this year. That's been pretty damn good. Rebel Moon's going to be cool. I am friends with one of the people working on that who has been showing me some cool things. Been hearing some things down the pipeline. There's a lot to be excited for there. I know that there's like this weird, like it's probably just clickbait, but I've seen people talking about how like the people working on Rebel Moon are like, fuck Star Wars. We're doing this to like give them the middle finger. This will be better than them. Like there's some sort of like a rivalry or like an antagonistic relationship there. It's the same people working on both movies. Like 85-90% of the creative team are doing Rebel Moon. Yeah. And then they're going to go back to work on the next Star Wars. It's
the only difference.
Don't believe everything you hear. All right, they're all friends.
The difference really is the rating. The only difference is like one's PG, one's PG-13, and one's a little more than PG-13. You know?
Yeah, one's a little bit more serious.
Yeah, but it's still like there is no rivalry. Like you were saying, it's just like I think like with any story, you can fucking say that it's the same story. You can look at fucking A New Hope and Harry Potter and Fellowship of the Ring and like or fucking any Shakespearean play, and you can find a similar trope or a story arc. Like that's just
there's a finite number of archetypes out there.
Like that's just how you build a story. But like the difference is like your location, the relationships between people, or like Dune, where it's like it's still a similar situation, but like you focus it around spice, or you focus it around a governmental plague, or you focus it around like Warhammer 40K. It's still the same fucking story, but like it's just
but like every example that you just mentioned, like from Dune to Star Wars to Warhammer 40K to all of them, you could put them all up there and create a flow chart of inspiration showing how they directly informed the next one along every single time. Every single time. You know, Dune informed Star Wars, you know, which in turn informs Rebel Moon, because Rebel Moon was originally written and conceived of to fit into the Star Wars galaxy. And then when the script was rejected or whatever happened there, now it's been retooled a little bit to be its own thing. And honestly, I find that more exciting. And honestly, I think 2023 has been a great year for original sci-fi, right? Rebel Moon, all right, we've got the Creator coming out of Gareth Edwards.
Dude, the Creator looks really dope as well. Shout out to the Rogue One team for that little beautiful piece of goodness coming out.
Over on HBO Max, or Max, I guess it's called now, we've released Scavenger's Reign, which is a 12-episode season. It's animated. It's phenomenal. Have you heard about Scavenger's Reign?
No, I just
No one's heard about Scavenger Ray. It's fucking amazing, dude. I'm reacting to it right now on Grizzled Wizard. It's like Studio Ghibli meets Mobius meets it's like Lost in Space, but it's just like so creative and artful and weird and just like wonderfully alien. It's a very, very cool show. Definitely check out Scavenger's Reign. But it just falls on the mountain of all these other awesome original sci-fi concepts that we've gotten this year. Like sci-fi fans are eating good right now. There's also a game that just came out on Steam called The Invincible that I've been playing. It's not really you can't call it a new original sci-fi because it's based off a 1963 novel by a Polish author, Stanislaw Lem. But it's cool. It's like Firewatch, if you're familiar with that. It's like Firewatch in space. So I've just had original sci-fi coming out my ears recently. I'm just really engrossed in it, and I'm having a great time with it. I've also been checking out some classic sci-fi for the first time. Like this was the first year that I watched Alien and Aliens.
I know. I feel like you've seen it, but I feel like you've seen some of these movies before, and then you and I.
Well, that's just the thing. I feel like I've seen these movies before too, because I know what an alien is, and I know what a face hugger is, and I know what a predator looks like, and I know who Ripley is because they're part of pop culture, and I feel like I know them because I have just all this osmosis about it, but I've never actually sat down and watched it from credits to credits before.
That's fair.
And for a first-time experience, I realized. It's crazy because I realized just how much I didn't know about it. I thought, I know what this is all about. No, I knew 2% of the entire concept of both Alien and Aliens. I had really wrong ideas about what it was all about. So it just goes to show, if there's a movie that you get referenced to all the time and you just never bothered to watch it because you feel like you know it now, chances are you don't know it. Chances are you made the same mistake I did. And there's I have a whole new appreciation for it now because I actually gave it the effort and sat down and watched the thing. And Alien is fucking awesome, dude.
Bro, the second one?
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's more on the way, too. Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, the rest of Alien Isolation.
The video game playthroughs you put through for Isolation was absolutely hilarious.
Oh,
and
dude,
very realistic. I think there's no way that I wouldn't have shat myself in space if I was stuck in that claustrophobic kind of a situation where fuck this thing crawling through the vents that's bigger than me, that bleeds acid, that just wants to just eat me.
Or I think the worst part for me,
the
absolute worst part was when Bishop crawled through the pipe.
Bro.
Dude, when he crawled through the pipe for 800 fucking meters, and he's all just
shout out to
Bishop. Welded it shut behind him.
Fucking shout out!
I couldn't even watch it, man. Oh, that was hard to watch.
Bishop was the goat. Bishop was the goat, and it was so horrible that in either I think it was Alien Resurrection. It was either Alien Resurrection or the
haven't seen that
Game
one
Over,
yet.
Man, or no Game Over. That was
Happy Thanksgiving, David. Appreciate you. Aliens.
The prison movie. So I guess it was the third one. They made a second android and made it look like Bishop to try to trick Ripley into thinking oh, I know this android. It's Bishop. He helped me last.
Are you talking about Alien 3?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Don't tell me.
Well,
that's the next reaction. I've only seen up to Aliens and Isolation.
Oh.
But Isolation is making me really hate the androids. They're so creepy. They're so creepy in that game.
Yeah.
It's true. I did. I literally crawled into a corner and hid. I was playing the game and I didn't realize that I did it until after. I was wait, I'm in a corner. I just instinctively kind of hid back there.
Someone in the comments, I see a lot of you. I have mixed feelings about Godzilla, mostly just because I don't know enough about the Godzilla Shin lore or anything like that to be really pumped and excited for an old school Japanese Godzilla film. I would like to know why the fuck it's called -1. So someone in the comments, if you can tell me why it's called Godzilla -1, that would be fucking fantastic.
Maybe it's a prequel to Godzilla 1. I know nothing.
Of Shin
nothing.
Godzilla. Yeah, I don't know. It would make sense, right? That would totally make sense. Because I know that the Shin Godzilla series is completely different than the current King of Monsters Godzilla series that's going on in America. So in the Shin series, Godzilla is still technically more of a villain.
Is this the same chronology as the one that Bryan Cranston was in?
No. Yes, it's a standalone from them. It's separate.
Okay. So we're still in that universe of this.
No, I'm saying we're in a different universe than the Bryan
Okay.
Bryan Cranston, like the King Kong, the Michael Fassbender, all that shit, all the American Godzilla shit is its own thing. Godzilla -1, this is made by the Japanese Godzilla.
So this is the proper OG Godzilla.
The OG actual Godzilla people. Yeah.
Man, maybe I should react to Godzilla because that's another thing that I've never seen.
It's some silly puppetry. It's some silly.
I'm into some silly puppetry, man. I'm a Star Wars fan.
It's
I love stupid ass puppets. It's my favorite.
Yeah, man. People in costumes. It's one of the greatest original foam smiths. If anything, the original monster movies is definitely kind of like, oh shit, they made that out of plaster, or like, oh shit, that's really a dude in that giant turtle costume.
I'm so down, dude, for some awesome practical effects and just two dudes in suits fighting each other.
Yeah, like cardboard.
I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do it. Yes. Yeah. I love me some camp.
Exactly. Yeah, it's camp. It's I
don't know how it could not be. If you got a dude in a gorilla suit or a dude in like a Godzilla suit, like wrecking some buildings, I don't know how that couldn't be camp.
Godzilla -1, completely standalone, but it's a remake of the original one. Okay, so Godzilla still doesn't give a fuck about humans. Godzilla is probably still the product of atomic and nuclear experimentation.
Did he? I mean, don't tell me because it's a spoiler, but he gave a fuck about humans at one point. Did someone teach him the?
Well, I mean, in the Bryan Cranston one, in this current universe. Well, okay, no, that's not true. At
Godzilla,
at some point, the idea becomes.
That's what his voice sounds like.
At some point, the idea becomes that Godzilla looks at humans as pets. Look at these tiny little useless creatures that can't defend themselves. I must defend these useless things against these other monsters.
So he's a guardian protector against the other kaiju. That's kind of the.
Yes, that is the relationship.
That hasn't always been the case. It used to just be he was a monster trying to get the. Gotcha. Okay, I see. That's the thing about a franchise that spans multiple decades is that the story balloons out and becomes something totally new than what it used to be. I experienced that for the first time watching Friday the 13th, the original from 1980, and I'm expecting some swole dude in a hockey mask to kick kick a hole in the wall and start killing everybody because that's the popular. That's what I know about Jason Voorhees, from popular culture.
Yeah.
He's not even in the fucking movie, dude. And then some lady with blonde hair shows up, and I was so scared of her. I was it was a really effective twist because I was ready for some Jason guy to show up. So when she showed up, I didn't suspect her at all. And then when she goes crazy, it was wonderfully done.
See, what's even more funny about Jason, what's even more unfortunate about Jason is that at the end of the day, he's literally just Sloth. With a mask on. He's literally just the dude from the Goonies.
Hey, you guys.
Just killing people that come close to his cabin. And that's
and you know what? Good for him.
And then he gets struck by lightning, and he gets turned into a zombie, and then he goes to hell, and then he gets into a fight with Freddy Krueger.
I'm not convinced he's not already a zombie because he was holding his breath in that lake for a very long time while she was sitting on top on the boat.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, it's a whole thing. But essentially, he just has that.
He's got that joie de vivre that makes a killer an icon.
That extra strength.
The reason I brought up Jason Voorhees is because that shows how a franchise sort of develops over time and becomes larger than life, and it had these humble roots, right? Jason's just a murdered kid, and his mom's doing the killing because she's crazy. And now he's basically a superhero. Jason's basically a fucking superhero by the end of where it goes. And the same sort of transformation happened with Godzilla, it sounds like too, where he was a simple monster who wanted to eat some people. And now he's got this complicated lore where he's a guardian and that's what happens. That's what happens when a story exists for decades and gets retold and retold. You got to find ways to keep it fresh, and it's just inevitable for it to take on this new trajectory.
That's true.
If you sat someone down to watch the original Friday the 13th and then the latest one, completely different experience. Completely different.
See, but what's also funny about Jason Voorhees and the other Friday the 13th movies, because generally they're only maybe 90 minutes long. They're very short films. But a majority of the Jason movies, it's literally just him just fucking mobbing around, killing anyone around who's doing drugs or having sex.
Yeah, I mean, I'm into it.
The whole world of Friday the 13th and Jason is just don't
have fun.
And some person's not going to just kill you with a pitchfork or a fucking machete. The moral with Michael Myers and the moral with like Halloween was like, yeah, don't have premarital sex, but lock your doors. Like, but
well, no, Halloween had a deeper message than that. Halloween was about protecting children.
Halloween had what?
Halloween had a deeper message than that. Halloween was about protecting children.
That's true.
Because yes, there was a commentary about purity going on as well, definitely, with the people like sinning, having sex, getting killed first. But like the way Laurie Strode really proved her purity of spirit was by being willing to sacrifice herself to save the kids that were in her care because she was a babysitter. And that's what I think the whole motivation really hinged on, was she was going to do whatever it took to save those kids. And that's really what I think was at the heart of Halloween. I just watched that one recently. It was absolutely fantastic.
And that moral, goes throughout multiple films. Like even in Halloween H2O, where fucking she's a college professor. She's still a college professor, and so
what does she teach? What does she teach in college? How to stab Michael Myers?
I think she's like an English professor. Someone in the chat, help me out here. I'm pretty sure she's like an English professor or like some language arts professor.
The history of kitchen knives.
Like, that'd be funny. No, like she tried to. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure she was a teacher at the university, but like it was something language arts related. It was something that helped her forget, and to like it was her sort of therapy thing. She was a principal. Was she the principal, or was that in Slay Queens?
I couldn't tell you. I've seen Halloween, and that's it. I'm not there yet, so I don't know this.
She might have been a principal.
Maybe an educator of some kind.
Yeah, there was some good shit there, but again, she was still trying to protect kids from getting killed from her crazy. Like she's not even related to Michael Myers. I think that's what the biggest thing that like threw me off about the whole series was just like this thing's a grudge match. This whole thing is like this obsessed serial killer who couldn't kill this one victim, and he's angry about it. And now he's possessed by the devil, and he's still angry that he couldn't successfully kill this one person. So he makes it his whole identity while still killing everybody else and his own psychologist. Which, like, shout out to that fucking guy.
Loomis
that actor passed away. Yeah, dude, he put his whole fucking pussy into that role. Like,
what a thing to say.
He's such a great character.
He was fantastic. I really enjoyed his performance. God. It was a lot more nuanced than you think it's going to be.
He was Mad Eye Moody before Mad Eye Moody.
Like, for sure. He's the I don't get paid enough for this shit. Like, this is all on me if it blows up. I got
let Michael go. Right. How could you let Michael go? He's a killing shark. He's a killing machine. You fool. Like, oh my god!
I also like the way that movies like that play with the level of knowledge the audience has versus the level of knowledge that the characters have. Like a lot of the suspense is built by us watching someone just like go through their daily routine, and we know there's a killer in the closet, but they don't know that yet, and there's nothing we can do about it. Hence the anxiety. And I think that the best instance of that was in Halloween when Loomis is talking to the sheriff. And the sheriff is like, I'm not convinced, but I guess I'll stay out with you just in case he comes back. And he's just doing his normal cop stuff. And his daughter has just been murdered. And we know that, but he doesn't know that. And we're watching a man have his last like 45 minutes of a normal fucking life before it all gets destroyed when he learns that. And it's like, he has no way of knowing. But we have to sit with that and do nothing with it. And it's the most anxiety inducing, like, fantastic movies. And I reacted to all of them. They're all on the Grizzled Wizard channel right now. A bunch of horror movie reactions. You should check those out. But I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Sorry, I totally missed your comment, Devil Dog. Yes, the teenagers in Friday the 13th were historically the dumbest. Like there was some comedian in the 90s who very beautifully said that like those kids were so dumb you could strangle them with a cordless phone. And I was like, oh my God, that's fucking accurate. You could chase them down a street still walking, and fucking blonde girl bimbo would trip and crack her head on a fucking rock in the middle of the sidewalk, and then boom, she's dead. Like they were so Humpty Dumpty easy to kill. Like, that's very true. It's very fucking true.
Oh man, I know you're not talking about Alice right now, though.
You mean Alice?
Final girl from Friday the 13th? Because she was not an idiot.
I don't know.
She's the one who makes it to the boat.
She's the one.
She doesn't participate in any of the tomfoolery and the whole thing.
Oh yes, yeah,
and she makes it all the way to the end, and then he gets her in the water. Yeah. She wasn't an idiot, and I will defend Alice to the death. But yes, I do agree that the Friday the 13th kids were dumb. Nightmare on Elm Street, they were dumb, but they were so brave they made up for the dumbness.
Well, okay, it was the adults though. That whole thing was also like the adults not believing the children, but they were also trying. But the adults were also trying to cover their own fucking tracks because they couldn't have the accountability that, oh yeah, we killed this pedophile dude, we locked this pedophile dude into a fucking boiler room and set him on fire, but we don't.
Which, by the way, is insane. That's a crazy fucking story to just like drop mid movie. Like that was wild. That was wild.
Yeah. But, like, by the way, all of the neighborhood families, like. When we were all kids,
we all banded together, did some good old vigilante justice, murdered a guy,
and now I drink. And now he's a sleep demon and killing all of our children.
Yeah, they made it so much worse. They gave him supernatural powers. Basically.
Yeah,
which is fucked. I thought the practical effects in that movie were so cool when he like comes through the bedroom wall.
Yes,
that looked so good. And also when he has like the long creepy arms.
Yeah, the most hilarious one line.
Loved that scene.
Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, like him and Chucky, I have to say, are two of the most hilarious but like fun to watch slashers out of all of them. Like they're just so good. They have such distinctive, like I think Robert Englund too, like that grungy, grimy, like Freddy Krueger voice that he makes. Like that's so like you hear it and you're just like
it freaks you out. Absolutely.
Yeah. You're like, I recognize. All you have to hear him say is, "Hey, bitch," and you're like, it's like, oh fuck, it's Freddy.
Like, honestly, did not see Mama Voorhees was standing behind us. Oh my god, yeah, in the scene when they're swimming, right?
Yeah,
you fully would have seen her. She's wearing like a white cardigan, like in the woods.
Just this creepy creeper.
Because 1980, that's why.
Yeah, it's true. They were doing bumps of cocaine in the back of the van. They didn't care. Like, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I can't wait to watch the rest of them because I know there's a million billion sequels. That's one of the fun things about horror movies is you get to start strong and then watch the quality slowly decline over a span of about 25 years. Some of them are absolute bangers and they consistently are good though. A lot of them, it's like the first or the second is the best and then it's downhill from there. But every once in a while, you get a series where every single one has been a banger. So far for me, the Conjuring movies have been that way.
Okay, the Conjuring, yes. Yeah, the Conjurings have been pretty good up until like the most recent one. Or I might be thinking of the Insidious movies. Because the Insidious movies, they started off good. They started off strong. And then they really slowly started like tapering off and just either becoming a little bit repetitive or just become... No, like Final Destination became fucking repetitive very quickly.
Yeah, well, I mean, how do you expand on that concept? You just come up with more ways to kill people, you know?
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the Saw movies? Have you seen the recent Saw movie?
No, because I don't like that shit. I'm not interested in just pure...
That kind of goes back to what you were saying about Eli Roth.
Yeah, it's not. There's not a real story to it. I mean, okay, I will say, I take that back. I do really like how in the first 3 films, they do really emphasize Jigsaw's point of that, like, I'm not just taking random people and putting them in these traps. I'm taking, like, people who say that they're good, but they're manipulating other people, or, like, I'm trying to just get them to confess to being absolute dick lords. But then, like, as the repetition kept going, then it's just like, no, I'm just being sadistic to become sadistic.
I mean, at the end of the day, this man is still a serial killer.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're still a serial killer. But
so there's only so much humanizing we can really do for this man. My opinion of the Saw movies is if they had stopped with just Saw and they never made a sequel, it would be regarded as one of the like most unique, creative, cool, self-contained horror stories ever made. But like all successful films, it eventually got strip mined, and now it's just very formulaic, like you're saying, and it's harder and harder to sell it every time. It's like, oh, there's more. Like Jigsaw's fucking dead. They've even killed him off and still come back and done more.
Which is what makes 7 so phenomenal and still so like culturally a cult film when it comes to.
It's pretty awesome twist.
Yeah.
But I think that if it stopped after 1, it would be like one of the best. but I feel like I got kind of deflated after the ones that came after it. And I'm glad that
How dare you talk about family, Captain Rex?
I'm glad you brought that up, man. I'm glad you brought that up because that's another series.
How
that
dare you? We're bringing cars into space over here. Okay, this is Innovation Station. Okay, this is about family. This is about Groot and Vin Diesel and pushing Ford Chargers to the limit. Okay,
that is what family is about. It's true. It's true. Yeah, there is a Scream reaction coming soon. I kind of wanted to leave it for pretty far down the list because I know that Scream references a ton of horror movies, and so I want to have seen the movies referenced by Scream before I watch Scream.
Jenna Ortega. Yeah, plus with Jenna Ortega, there's like 1 or 2 new Scream movies coming out, and there's going to be a whole plethora of new stuff coming out with all these new horror movie kids. Yeah, it's great.
There's a ton. I'm really into it. So the entirety of season 1 of Ahsoka aired during the strike, and we weren't really able to give our thoughts every week in the podcast like I would have liked to. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through the various episodes of Ahsoka here one by one and just boom, give me your rapid fire. What was your impression? Did you like? Did you hate it? Something that stood out to you for each episode here.
As our closing statements, I'm down.
Yeah, we're just gonna summarize our thoughts on Ahsoka here because we never really got to have that back and forth live on the podcast. So let's do it. So starting off, episode 1, part 1. A valuable prisoner escapes New Republic custody. A search for answers reunites 2 old friends. What was your take on this episode?
See, I'm like trying to see where my iPad is because I do better with pictures, not words. I'm like, I need a screenshot.
While you're trying to figure it out, I'll give you my thoughts. I thought that this was a great. This episode will always go down for me as like the first time we got to see Baylan Skoll like do his thing, with that awesome amber cord saber, just like flying a JT6 shuttle onto the damn ship right out of the Clone Wars and just like ripping ass. Silly security there, being like, oh yeah, let them land. You give them a talking to. Like, why would you?
Yes, the complete homage to the episode 1 opening, but making it the reverse of the episode 1 opening.
Yeah, they flipped it on its head.
Fucking brilliant. I need my screenshots for this shit. But yeah, I'll be right back. I need my iPad.
Yes, indeed. R.I.P. to Ray Stevenson. The orange sabers, I like him. They definitely toned it down a little bit. I can't we were talking about this in the Sator Sunday stream the other day. Like we can't tell if it's they leaned into a creative decision and then kind of walked it back, or if it was simply unfinished CGI in the trailer. But in the trailer, they have orange cores, and then when the episode came out, they had a much more traditional kind of a white core orange glow going on, and I like the trailer version better. I liked it better because it reminded me of Dark Forces and the enemies that you fight in that game. They just have solid amber sabers, and it was a very cool throwback. And I think that the show in general has kind of taken Star Wars back to 1993 stylistically. Like a lot of the expanded universe novels that were coming out in those years include things like The Courtship of Princess Leia, which is the first time we got Dathomir and the Night Sisters.
Wait, slow down. What are we fucking talking about?
Dark Empire. I'm talking about all the awesome books that came out from Bantam between 91 and 93 and how those are the stories that are currently being referenced and like borrowed from in the new canon. And it just, that was my era, man. That was when I was living for the legends. And so it's really gratifying to get little snippets of that brought back in,
I don't know if you just got a shot of my little shorts.
I wasn't paying attention, but I'm going to have to do a slow motion later.
So yeah, the part 1 of Master and Apprentice, it was really great just visually seeing what the new costumes were going to be like and having just an overall feel of what the universe.
It was our introduction.
Yeah, dude. As someone was saying else in the chat, the music for the entire series was spot on.
Shout out to the Kiners. Same composers as Star Wars Rebels. That's why that felt so authentic.
So the speeder bike song was very sort of timeless, and I felt like it was something that could very much easily be heard on like the Star Wars radio if there was a radio station back in that time.
Totally.
Same with how they created the dubstep theme for the Dark Troopers. And
yes, yes.
like, it was different. It was completely different, but it still sounded like a Star Wars like musical, like
Totally
musical thing.
Remember the arena rock that Zeb was listening to in Rebels?
Yeah,
he had a boombox with just like a ripping guitar solo coming through. It made me think of that sort of thing too. And Jedi Survivor, how there's like now that we have all these canon in-universe bands that have like songs in the jukebox that you could play on the.
Episode 2, Part 2, Toil and Trouble. Ahsoka and General Hera Syndulla travel to the New Republic shipyards and make an unexpected discovery.
That's right. This episode was fun. I liked the the undercover Imperial like sympathizers, and it turns out it was like everybody in the fucking room, and that was such a D&D encounter moment. You know, like
everyone's lying, everyone's under their bullshit. Yeah. I thought a lot of it really echoed well with what we got to see in Andor, because both of these shows took place at completely different periods of time within the history. But very similar things were happening with the way that you could kind of see how structurally in society, it's just like when one empire falls, one different type of government just like takes its place. And there's going to be all these really weird and questionable in-between decisions of like, oh, well, what do we do with these sympathizers for people who don't necessarily, fall within our new
right? Because the re-education, like reintegration program, which clearly was not effective. Like we saw that, we knew that from Mandalorian. Getting to go to Corellia and see the Star Yards where they're taking the Super Star Destroyer hyperdrives and like decommissioning them so they could put them in this massive ring. That was awesome. That felt like some ridiculousness out of like a West End Games rule book talking about like if you want to make a huge ring that can travel to another galaxy, you'll need like 8 hyperdrive cores into this, into that. Like they did it though. They actually did it. I have read I, Jedi. It's Kevin J. Anderson, right? Do you know that Corran Horn is canon now? That he's been reintroduced in the Kenobi show. Kumail's character is smuggling out a mother and her child the first time that we meet him. He's credited as being Corran Horn in the credits. So he's been introduced into the timeline as a child at the time of Kenobi. So he would be a young adult, like early to mid 20s, I think, by the time of the Mandoverse. So if he were to show back up at Luke's Jedi Temple in the future, like he's in there. Corran Horn is in there. Roganda is Marin. There's like a couple different people and they're all Michael Stackpole characters too, interestingly enough, that have been canonized by like having names on the path, the hidden Jedi path in Kenobi. Like a lot of names were inscribed in the wall. Like that canonized a bunch of characters too. But Corran Horn is a favorite of mine, as is Ganner Rysode. I thought Ganner was a great character too. He's very flawed, and he had an awesome, like, heroic, noble ending.
I don't remember what Hugh Yang's first episode was, if it was between part 2 and part 3. Same with
the very, very first.
Yeah, but amazing puppet. Fucking puppet.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It really cracked me up, man. Like, so like when he's laying on the ground, like working underneath the console and stuff, it's so obvious that they just
put him in there and they just knocked his ass over. Yeah.
I'm surprised there wasn't a shot where he had to like jump and they like just like threw him from off camera. Like it would have been too funny.
Fucking perfect.
But he even had a fight scene. He even had like a puppet fight scene, and it was like really well done. Like they really sold that fight choreography, and that's not an easy thing to do with a puppet,
Yeah.
Especially a puppet fighting an actual person in a suit, so you see the difference in the physicality there.
Speaking of Doctor Who, shout out to David Tennant for really like bringing that character back to life for a lot of us, and like
I feel like he's gotten meaner in his old age. I don't know. I feel like he just adjusts his approach based on the age of who he's teaching.
Yeah,
he was very gentle with the younglings in the Crystal arc in the Clone Wars, but like Sabine's a grown ass woman, so he's kind of like being a lot more sassy to her. This is a new side of him we haven't quite seen,
which is fair. With part 3, Time to Fly, Hera tangles with New Republic politics while Ahsoka and Sabine ran voyage to a distant planet. Shout out to the art designers for coming up with the dogfights. That dogfight scene was so World War II and so fucking cool.
I love the ships. I love the sounds, the snub nose, the way they had the wings.
It was so it's classic, fucking classic.
And again, one of my favorite moments in the series so far, the goddamn cartwheel move. It was so good. It was so good. And I love that she was wearing a spacesuit that we had previously seen in the Clone Wars also.
Yes.
Just another level of continuity. The sound was really, really good, like the music in that scene.
Also with Toil and Trouble, I think that was also the first Shin and Sabine fight that we got. I believe the fight choreographers throughout the whole series, beautiful, fucking beautiful. There wasn't
really good choreography.
There really wasn't a single lightsaber fight or saber to blaster fight that lacked anything.
I thought Sabine and Shin really sold their duels. It felt like there was like the choreography was there, the moves were cool, but it felt like there was like a significant amount of emotion in the fight too. Like I'm watching a ton of fan films that are like nothing but lightsaber battles. Like something gets lost if it's nothing but choreography. Like there has to be like storytelling and acting happening inside the fight as well. And I think that Shin and Sabine did a really good job of that, of like telegraphing that there was a lot more happening than just this
and actually all five of the swordsmen that we get to see, because we get to see I almost called her Mother Gothel. What the fuck's her name? I
have no idea who you're talking
about. That
lady
that fights
Night Mother Talzin?
No, not Mother Talzin. The one who holds.
Oh! God damn it! Now I can't remember her name.
Yeah, see
I had her name. Damn you, Bendu.
The fucking old lady. The old lady. So the old lady.
Morgan Elsbeth. That's her name.
So Morgan,
wrestling my brain back.
Phenomenal swordsman. Has her own fighting style. Ahsoka, we see using two different fighting styles throughout the series, which is fucking great. Plus, we get the Anakin Skywalker tutorial videos and voiceovers, which is phenomenal.
he was fantastic. It was like he stepped out of Revenge of the Sith.
We get Balon's fighting style, which is pretty much a resurrected version of Qui-Gon Jinn, which is absolutely beautiful to see. It's
more than that. He's not just using Qui-Gon Jinn's starting stance. He's using heavy style number 2 from Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast. He's literally using Dasan's moves.
It's so beautiful. It was awesome. And then both Sabine is using her own style, and then Shin is using her own style. So it's like we got to see, like, not everyone was using the same shit. And it was so brilliant.
They diversified it up, and they really changed it and to keep the choreography fresh. It was very cool. Yes, Diane Lee Inosanto is Bruce Lee's daughter. She played Morgan Elsbeth, and that's why she absolutely whipped ass in those fight scenes. Like, it was excellent. And I agree. I think I wish we got more of her too. And I think she got a raw deal. Honestly, the character, she her life's work was trying to reunite Thrawn with the other galaxy. Yeah, she does it to honor, and she has all this honor and respect and reverence for the great mothers and for the Dathomir culture. And they just cast her aside. They just fucking left her behind. They're like, okay, you have to remain behind and slow down the enemy while we leave. She got her reward. She was bestowed with greater power, but
for a moment, knowing that she was gonna die.
Well, best case scenario, you defeat the You're stranded here now.
Yeah. She's still stuck there. She got a massive level up and a mystic item.
It was lose-lose.
That's after she lost the fight and lost her Beskar spear in Mando season 2. So it's Mando season 2 and Ahsoka season 1. She's just chilling in prison, waiting for fucking Balin just to bust her out, which is rough. So that all of them can still get together and bring Thrawn back. Also, fucking Ahsoka season 2 brings us to Dathomir. We're gonna get to see so much creepy Transylvanian. I don't know. I hope we get to see.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I want live action Dathomir so bad.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be very, very close to what we've seen in Jedi Fallen Order. I think they're just gonna continue with that.
Yes,
because it's all consistent. Clone Wars, JFO, we're just gonna get a visually consistent style. One of the ways they're able to achieve that, because Doug Chiang talked about it in an interview, is that they'll just go back to old concept art from whenever the first time was that we saw this place. So for Dathomir, I guess it would be in the Clone Wars. Just revisit the old concept designs and then go from there as your starting point again. And that way, aesthetically, it's always going to be the same foundation, It's brilliant. It's a brilliant way to do it. I also love that they keep going back to Ralph McQuarrie's concept art. So many years after he's passed, he still gets the credit of informing the visual language of how it grows, how the aesthetics develop. He's still so much in control of that without even being present in the process. He just what he created was so fundamental and so foundational that like, yeah, no.
All of Star Wars is poetry. It all has to rhyme. Lucas said so. Right. Lucas said so himself. It's law.
He did. Lucas said a lot of things, man. Lucas said this.
But it is a very hard movie to follow, and at the same time, I've done it a little more extremely than I've ever done in the past. It's stylistically designed to be that way, and you can't undo that, but we can diminish the effects of it.
Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Means it's impossible to follow, but we can't do anything about it, but we can try and reduce how batshit crazy.
Use recycle. Shut the fuck up. That's why we use the same robots. That's why we use the same speeder ships. Because it's cost effective and it makes sense.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Why do all of our props look like they came from World War II? Because they did.
I'll tell you why.
To create images is always a challenge. Digital magic.
Damn it. God damn it. Like, this fucking guy.
He's a visionary. He's a visionary, man. He makes digital magic. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah, and his best.
No, I think that Star Wars is in capable hands. I think that if George Lucas had the level of confidence in Dave Filoni that he did, so should we. You know, if you're someone who thinks that George Lucas has the right idea most of the time, which I will say he does most of the time.
If he really wanted to, I'm sure he could step in. Like it's not like a thing that I'm sure is in his contract that like if Disney fucked up enough, he'd be like, all right, guys, I'm going to step in and like try to write something for you. Like,
I don't think that he A is interested in doing that.
Yeah.
And B would I don't see that happening.
Again,
there's definitely no language in the contract where it's like, if you really screw it up, I get it back. That's definitely not a thing. Like,
right. And like
his legally not his anymore.
And his friends, like people that he's worked with, like since the very beginning and going into episode 1 and episode 2, cough, cough, Doug Chang, are still there. Like his best friends are still there and still like keeping the project and keeping everything still alive and genuine. And yeah, it kind of boils down to, as you've best described in the past, people with their action figures not wanting them to be played a certain way.
Yeah, not wanting someone else to play.
If that's the case, make your own goddamn movie. Make your own goddamn fan film. You're gonna bitch about it so fucking much.
It's easier. It's easier to do than you think. Anyone can do it, man.
Yeah.
What's your predictions for the Ahsoka season 2 finale? You think Ahsoka will die, and would you want Baylan in a Tales series? So hard yes to Baylan in a Tales series. That would be amazing. Make him the central focus of the entire thing. If you want, give us a whole season about Baylan.
Yeah.
Predictions for Ahsoka season 2 finale. As far as I know, Ahsoka season 2 hasn't even been confirmed to be happening. I think it goes Ahsoka season 1, Filoni's movie,
like
followed by Ahsoka season 2 if there's anything left over. But answering the middle question, I think Ahsoka might die in the movie. If she's dying anywhere.
Everyone's dying.
If ever dying, she might die in a movie because that's like a big event. You know what I mean?
Everyone's got to die before The Force Awakens, unless someone's chilling off in some distant fucking meteorite moon somewhere.
That's the old chestnut that everyone was saying about Ezra Bridger, was saying about Cal Kestis. Everyone's like, if they're still alive, where are they, and why didn't they help with the events of 4, 5, and 6? That seems to be the $1 million question, because Ahsoka seems like someone who, if she could help, she would have helped. So something must have happened to prevent her from helping. And like with the event of the sequels, like, where is she? Why isn't she there to fight Kylo Ren? Presumably because she's dead, but we don't know that for sure. And then it becomes sort of like a character quality thing. It's like, well, do we really want to assassinate her character by not having her step in and saving people from this conflict when she was capable of doing it? So now it's like it's better to preserve the legacy of the character if she died before this happened, because otherwise
everyone just dies.
You write yourself into a corner. Like, how do we justify her not helping? You know, how do we justify her not helping lift a finger against the First Order unless she's dead by that point?
By Game of Thrones logic, everyone's going to die. Everyone's dead.
Yes.
Everyone dies. Everyone dies in battle. That's just what it is.
I've heard Rome is really, really good. Same with Black Sails.
If anything, like the whole final battle is going to take place on Dathomir, and the planet is going to explode, and everyone's going to die in some like reverberative, like no one's going to win this fight. The best thing to do is just everybody's got to die. Bye, Mon Mothma. Make sure nobody makes the same fucking mistakes that we do. Peace out, Coruscant. Like, you know, everybody, like New Republic, you know, shout out to you. Or like, for all we know, the First Order shows up and just fucking nukes everyone. Like, we don't know.
We don't know.
Like, the First Order could just kill Snoke. Snoke could show up as the Palpatine clone and just fucking thunderstorm everyone. Like,
I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think it's that crazy to assume that we're going to see Snoke in The Mandalorian, and I think that we will. I think that we will at some point.
We don't even have Mando season 4 confirmed. Again, everything goes into the potential Filoni movie.
It turns out that Snoke is Kino Loy from Andor, and he just when he tried to swim, he got caught into like the rudder of some ship, and it like fucked him up, and so he's all munted looking. And then he became.
And then they used midi-chlorians to try to restart his heart.
And the rest, as they say, is history. Exactly. So you get it.
It's like an X-Men 3. It's like an X-Men 3 when Xavier dies and he projected his consciousness into that other dude who was in the coma. And then so Palpatine was just like, yo, I'm just gonna project my my consciousness into this passed out dude. And then it's gonna be good.
God, the Sun Crusher. The Sun Crusher. What a weird ship, man. It was fun. Jedi Surge is a fun book trilogy, but like it's just a flying Death Star. It's just like a little Death Star fighter.
Bendu speaking facts. What about what? I said a lot of shit. I don't know what I'm speaking facts on.
Bendu's still speaking hard facts. Bendu's still unaware of what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, what was I talking about?
That's the hardest fact. We just say truth. But yeah, that's good shit. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us in this return.
Yeah.
Resurrection of the dark workforces.
Dusting off the old faithful here. I've missed this. I've really missed this, and not just because we get to nerd out and talk about stars, because I miss you, man. This is our chance to hang out every week. You know, it's great.
Well, it's been busy. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's the holiday season as well, so
true. Thanksgiving's next week.
Because Americans, for all you people in France, for all of our France and UK watchers, it's Thanksgiving right now. Which is a very conceptualized thing of like, it's a family holiday, but we like to try to say that it's a family holiday. But anyway, celebration is all of you if you celebrate it or have it. And then, this is going to be a fun winter. We got Marvel What If Season 2 coming out. We have Madam Web teaser trailer that we'll probably react to next week or talk about things. Stay tuned.
Let's do that. Let's do that next week.
We'll probably so Tuesday nights 7:00, worst case scenario 7:30, 7:15. So join us as we talk all things nerdy and dorky and dark.
Absolutely, 7 PST every Tuesday. This has been the Dork Forces podcast, and thank you so much for listening, everybody. We are your hosts, Kyle and Bendu, and we can't wait to see you next time. We hope you have a really lovely time for the rest of the week here. Let's play ourselves out with a little clip here. How about? We were talking about what a visionary genius George Lucas is, so it seems only fair that we would play a George clip. Let's go.
High vision. It's a modern picture.
High vision. それは現代の絵巻だ。
Throughout our history,
いつの時代も人は映像により優れたリアリティを求めてきた。よりワイドな画面へ。よりクリアな画像へ。ハイビジョン技術の開発に世界に先駆けて取り組んだパナソニック。映画、放送をはじめ、様々な分野でハイビジョンの世界を広げます。